Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Built Different podcast. In studio with me, I have Cody Carpenter, so I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yeah, so my name's Cody Carpenter. I'm a St. Louis City fireman. I've been there for right around 8 years now. I'm at Engine House 28 in North City and Fountain Park. I was a full-time fireman before that in Illinois, a couple towns, and came here to fight some fires and love my job again.
So growing up, did you think that you wanted to be a firefighter, or was it kind of...
Yeah, so I'm a fifth-generation firefighter. The rest of my family was on my hometown department in Champaign, Illinois. Mm-hmm. Then I got on at Champaign and realized it really wasn't the speed for me. I wanted to go to more fires, do more cool shit, and got the call for St. Louis, and it was game on after that.
Yeah. So with St. Louis City Fire, I'm not too familiar with it. Are they like hurting for people kind of like the police department is, or?
Yeah. Probably about 2-3 years ago, we were about 100 and something short, 150 probably.
Okay.
We put on 2 classes pretty recently in the last year and a half with 50 to 60 people in each class.
Okay.
We're getting ready to put on another class in about a month, and that should get us caught up for now. Mm-hmm. But then we've got a whole list of retirements after that, so we'll be right back to where we were, it seems like. So
starting out, what's the academy look like?
So the City Academy is 4 months long. It's a lot of book work, and then the hands-on training comes after you pass the tests, pretty much, the state tests. So it's 4 months of 6:30 in the morning till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and running up and down the tower, PT in the mornings, book work, and then out to the drill grounds after that.
Where is your guys' academy held at?
So it's at the St. Louis Fire Department headquarters, 1421 North Jefferson, just straight across from the NGA. And then they'll go out to the county academy every once in a while and do a couple burns there just to change the building up.
What kind of molded you into the firefighter that you are today? You have how much time on now?
Yeah, so I got 8 years on here and then 10 years as a full-time fireman. Mm-hmm. It's a multitude of different people, really. Right. Like you got my family and then like the people that I look up to in the fire service. So I teach for the Illinois State Fire Academy. So a bunch of Chicago firemen, Milwaukee firemen, FDNY guys. And I look up to them a lot. I learn how to be a better fireman from them. And then obviously in the city, I mean, St. Louis is a great city to work in firefighter-wise. Mm-hmm. We've got every building you can imagine, and we go to a good amount of fires. So you look up to those dudes and you realize what the academy teaches you might not be what the best way is. Yeah. And the dudes with more experience definitely have been around the block before, so you kind of learn how they do things.
Every first responder that I kind of have on the show, I like to ask, like, I'm sure that there's probably that one fire, that one call that sticks out to you.
There's been a couple since being in the city, for sure. But we had a fire 2 years ago, and I've never been so close to calling a mayday, like our 10-1, right? Like, obviously we have a 10-1 when we need police, but like our mayday it's not a good day for us. We had a fire, it was in the 6th district, so PD 6th district, our 6th district are the same, 5th is the same, everything else is different, but it's up in the 26s area, so like Margaretta Taylor area. It's a 2-story brick, heavy fire on the first floor, heavy fire on the second floor. We were going in on the first floor behind the first in company, and I went right, my other guys went left, and I ended up falling through the floor with my feet dangling into the basement. Well, they had fire in the basement. So I'm kicking my legs, trying to get up, and I couldn't get up. My legs were burning. I was so close, never been this close to calling a mayday in my life. And I was getting ready to grab my radio to call a mayday, and I look up, and I just see this flashlight coming right at me. It was my captain that day, who was luckily right there, because if not, I would definitely called a mayday. But that one, and we just had a pretty decent fire on Kingsbury, the 5600 block. It was a mid-rise, so like one of those apartment buildings, block long. We had fire in 3 apartments, 1, 2, and 3. And that was a pretty memorable fire just because it's not something we get to do every day. And then I was working the day of the tornado, so that's obviously a pretty decent memory there. Yeah, there's a lot of good and bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you get that work in the city no matter what you do. So.
Yeah, the hours are a little tough. Any relationship you try to build, no matter what, 24 hours is a long time, and then you put overtime on top of that, so minimum of 48 hours. That sucks.
Yeah.
And then you're obviously missing family events all the time. I don't have kids yet, but like you're gonna miss birthdays. You're gonna miss first days of school.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna miss huge milestones, and it's just part of the job, and it sucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, everybody's done it, so.
Absolutely. How does your guys' day-to-day shifts work? Is it you kind of mentioned there a little bit, like 24 hours? Is that kind of a typical, like you're 24 hours on, so many hours off type of thing?
Yeah, so the city works a weird schedule. Fire service as a total usually works a 24-hour shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of variations, so like 24 on, 48 off, 48 on, 96 off, 24 on, 72 off, and then there's the St. Louis schedule that's 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 4 days off. So up until I got here, I started on the ambulance when I was 18 until I got hired here in 25. I was working 24 48s. I thought that was the best schedule in the world. Like you get 2 days off after working, like that's awesome. And then I got here and I'm like, I work 3 days, I get 4 days off. I like the schedule, it's a pretty decent schedule. So like we start our shift technically at 8 a.m., but most companies will make relief by 7 o'clock. So like my company makes relief at 6:30. So 6:30 to 6:30-ish, you're there at the firehouse. And then, we go from there. It's just checking your stuff, making sure everything's there, and then just go throughout the day, run by run, training.
What does a typical day look like for you guys? I mean, is there a certain amount of training that you guys get in through the day when you can, or like how does that work?
So I'd say I'm pretty lucky. I work at a pretty young house. I just got made to acting captain, so we haven't promoted in 3 years. So we've got like over 40 open officer positions. So I've been lucky to work with these dudes for the past almost 4 years at the 28s. Before that, I was at the 8s, so like Blair and Salisbury. I came over, super young crew. I've got 3 dudes underneath me who just want to eat and they want to go to fires all day long. So it's been really nice because we can train in the morning. There's no complaints. And then in the afternoon, we can go do another training, right? In between runs. And with the young guys, like our fires are down compared to 20, 30 years ago, right? We don't go to a fire every day, pretty close to it, but not every day. And we're not seeing the same workload that they saw back then, which made them good firemen. So we've got to train that way to be good firemen.
Right.
So like our day-to-day, man, we get there 6:30, check our stuff, make sure all of our gear's good, and then, man, we get in the kitchen table and we just talk for a while, right? Like we go over what's going on for the day, but then it's a family atmosphere, right? Like these dudes are your brothers. You're there with them for 24 hours. So it's, hey, Blake, how was your kid's soccer game yesterday? Or Justin, what's Liza up to today?
Yeah.
Like you get so invested in these dudes' lives, and they're what makes your job and your life easy at work and outside of work. Like I talk to those dudes more than I talk to my family.
Right.
Group chat, Snapchat, at work, whatever it is. These dudes, like I call them right now and I got a flat tire on the highway. I promise 3 of them are on the way to come help me.
Yeah.
So the training's there, and then obviously going to runs. Like I'm pretty lucky. I'm at the 3rd busiest company in the city, so we get around 4,800 runs a year. It's Central West End is our baby, and then Fountain Park. So you get a plethora of low income to high income to multi-million-dollar mansions. You know, so man, we get to see a lot there, and then the run volume alone is just, it's appealing to me. It's appealing to most people who want to be at a good house, So yeah, I mean, it's no day's the same, just like it is for police, right? But you can pretty much figure out you're going to be hammered at breakfast, you're going to be hammered at lunch, you're going to be hammered at dinner, right? It's a frat house. Yeah. Everybody's fair game. When you're at the dinner table, it doesn't matter if you're a battalion chief, captain, fireman, probie. Everybody's the same, right? Yeah. We're all throwing jabs at each other, but that's how you build relationships, and it's how you know that this dude's going to have your back.
Right. So do you guys only run fires, or do you guys go to other things? Because I know, like accidents on the highways.
Right.
I don't know if you have a interstate running through your area or not.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, we'll go to the interstate every once in a while if a couple
Yeah.
companies are out on runs. But yeah, so in St. Louis Fire Department has their own ambulance service, right? It's fire department ambulance. The paramedics and EMTs on that ambulance usually are not firemen. Unlike the county where they're cross-trained and they'll keep their fire gear in there. If there's a fire, then they'll be firemen. If they got to be a paramedic, they got to be a paramedic. So on the fire truck, we go to, I'd say, half of the EMS runs in the city. It depends on like what they call and say. If they say, I got a cold, they're going to send an ambulance, no lights or sirens, right? But like, you got chest pain, shortness of breath, cardiac arrest, obviously car accidents, things like that, shootings. Fire truck goes on that. Just because there's more fire trucks than there are ambulances strategically throughout the city. And then even if there were more ambulances, they're always going to be busy, right? We're always holding calls. We're always NUA.
Yep.
So, yeah, we go on, I'd say, 50% or more of the medical calls. And so, like, it's a requirement that you're an EMT on the job now. I'm a paramedic. I've got another paramedic on the rig with me most days. So even if we have an ambulance that shows up, they don't have a paramedic on it. If it's a city ambulance, we hop in the back and we have to make them a paramedic unit if they need a paramedic. So, I mean, you got to love EMS too to be a fireman in 2025. That's the majority of calls. And I mean, it's the same job, right?
Oh,
like, it's just a little different.
Is there a requirement like for you to keep your license, I guess, to be a paramedic? Like, do you have to go to so much training or so many calls?
So like, there's continuing education, and it depends. Like the state, I think it's 120 hours, and then you've got the National Registry, which is like 90 some odd hours every 2 years. So you've got to recert those, and then there's mandatory classes, so like CPR, right? Like that's the silliest thing in the world, but you've got to have a valid CPR card every 2 years. And then for like paramedics, like advanced cardiac life support, trauma training. So there's a bunch of classes that you got to take just to keep everything up. It's not off the runs or anything. It's just your ABC classes. You got to have all the letters.
You had mentioned something earlier about working in a fire academy in Illinois. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So I'm an instructor for the Illinois State Fire Service Institute. It's the state-mandated fire academy in Illinois. It's located in Champaign, Illinois, so my hometown. That's kind of how I got started there. I was 18 years old. They paid me to light fires. Like, how cool is that? I got to go in there. I got to burn things down to the ground. Like, this is awesome. And then I slowly developed into this love of teaching the craft that I started to love. And so I think I was 23. I got promoted to an instructor, and it's been game on since then. So like the Illinois Fire Service Institute covers the entire state. So from the Wisconsin border to the Kentucky border, right? Missouri border. So I teach for the Fire Academy, which is a 7-week residential academy. So they're there every single day, Monday through Friday, 6:15 in the morning till sometimes midnight, depending on what week it is. And in my opinion, obviously I'm a little biased, but it's one of the better academies throughout the United States. From day one, you're in live fire. So today, you're just you. Tomorrow, you go to the academy. We're going to teach you how to wear your gear. We're going to teach you how to wear an air pack. And at the end of the day, you're going to be in a building that's on fire with no experience. But that's how we weed out the people that probably shouldn't be there. Right. So on top of that, then I teach for our RIT Under Fire program, which is our firefighter rescue program. It is the only RIT program in the United States that puts live firemen in live fire who have to be rescued. So as the instructors, we'll go in and we'll be the ones having a mayday. We will have no air in our air pack. And then these people that we just taught for the last 2 days come in and they have to give us air, right? So like we don't fake it. We don't have any air in our air pack, right? We'll find a crack in the hole in the wall. We'll suck the air from the outside. And we've had students from Australia, South Korea, Canada come to that program, and then obviously all throughout the United States come for that. And then I also teach in one of our cornerstone programs. So the state of Illinois gives us millions of dollars every year to teach firemen. So through that program, it's really made for the volunteer fire departments in Illinois to keep them up to date on the new and improved ways of being a fireman, right? How to be safe. So I teach probably 20 to 30 of those classes a year, 6 to 8 of the RIT classes a year, which are 50-hour RIT classes, and then we run 2 academies a year. And then I do a little bit of teaching for the St. Louis Fire Academy, our city academy, whether it's for the recruit classes or for just continuing training for on-duty firemen. And like the best thing about teaching is you learn every time you teach, right? Like I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I know a way, but then I watch a dude with 20 years on the job do the same thing I just taught him. He does it a different way. And I'm like, man, that was a lot smoother than what I just taught you how to do, you know? It's like that's the benefit of teaching. Like you're always saturated in this job. You're always finding new ways to do it, and you're making connections, right? Like, man, I think I've met a person from every state that's a fireman somewhere just through teaching classes,
that's
you know,
awesome.
and going to classes. So, yeah, I mean, teaching's awesome, man. I love it. It's definitely not better than going into a house fire, but second best, right? Like, you gotta teach what you love, and.
Yeah. So over the years, you know, you've been training for a little bit, and I'm sure that your family can also share some insight, and they've probably told you, but how have you seen the profession change since you've been in it and your family's been in it?
Well, I mean, back in the day, right, it was kind of like the good old boys club. You come into work, just kind of sit down and maybe clean a little bit and then go to fires. And then it turned into, all right, firemen are going to start doing EMS now. So then the EMS calls come in and everybody hates EMS. And then you get a new generation starting that didn't know anything of the fire service before EMS got involved. And they're like, well, EMS really isn't that bad. And then now here we are where you kind of got to love both to do this job right, you know? But then, like, obviously equipment's changed, tactics have changed. Yeah. Man, you know, like, when my grandpa started in the fire service, they didn't even have air packs on his fire department. And now, like, if you don't wear an air pack into a building, you're not going to make it out. Pretty much, you know, the things inside houses have changed completely from legacy furniture, wood and wool, right, to synthetic furniture, which is just solid gasoline. You know, so like you take a hit of that compared to taking a hit of it 40 years ago, man, that's a huge difference, right? And, you know, like now we're all hazard fire departments, so like water rescue, hazmat, trench rescue, rope rescue, whereas before, like, that was more like a civil defense job. And the fire department just went to fires. You know, like, we always make the joke, like, when they don't know who to send, they send the fire department. But, like, you really think about it, and it does have, like, we're getting sent on 911 hang-up calls. Like, come on, man. That can't be my job. You know, or, hey, can you go let this lady into her house? She left her keys in her house. She locked it, right? So you really got to be a jack of all trades. Like, you got to know how to pick a lock. You got to know how to pick a car. You know, you got to know how to get keys out of a sewer. You know, cat out of a tree. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's definitely changed. And even since I got in the fire service, it's changed. Like, our gear's changing. It's heavier. It protects us more, which on the outside looks really good, right? Like, you want gear that's going to protect you from the worst conditions ever. But then when you really think about it and you're like, man, if I'm pushing into this building and it's 900 degrees and I'm not going to feel it, my gear's not going to start to deteriorate till 1,000 degrees. That just means I'm going to push farther into this building before I ever know it's that hot, right? Whereas, you know, when my grandpa started, they were wearing, you know, like the wader boots, you know, and like rubber coats. And they didn't have hoods over their heads. So, like, they would know when their ears are hot. They're like, oh, yeah, we're probably too far in this building. Let's get out of here. Now, you know, we got everything on us, an air pack, helmet, hood, and everything down that it's rated to up to 1,000 degrees with the newest gear. That's kind of scary. If you really think about it. I mean, yeah, you're protecting me. That's cool. But now I don't know how far I am into this building until I'm too hot. Until it's too late.
What is kind of the, you know, you talked about like how hot it can get and stuff. Like, what is kind of the average for a fire? Like, is it?
Yeah, it really depends. You know, if it's like a small fire, like just a bedroom on fire, and it's like, let's just say a mattress burning, yeah, it could be like 200 degrees, right? It just depends on what's in the mattress, right? But then when you have the whole room that's on fire, we call that a flashover, right? So that's a minimum of 1,100 degrees from floor to ceiling. Everything in that room's on fire. So we know from the studies that tells us it's over 1,100 degrees. Well, we ain't going in there. Mm-hmm. We got to cool it off first, right? But it depends on wind. It depends on temperature outside the building.
Right.
And then that can tell us, are we going to have to crawl? Can we stand? Can we maybe duck walk into this room?
Yeah.
And you got to judge it off yourself. Like we all have, those personal thermal imaging cameras. So like those help out a lot. It's not to tell a temperature of a room, but it is to see like, hey, I have fire over here, or I have a victim over here when it's super smoky. It's difficult to tell, really, like, by the time we get there, if the room is fully involved, well, then it's flashed over already, which means it's well into the structure. So then it's going in the next room. It's going in the next room after that. And then you've got all the vacant buildings, right? Like in North City, we'll get a fire in a building at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we get there and it's fully involved. There's no window that doesn't have fire in it. So then we can't even go into that one, right? Like that's just not smart.
Yeah.
But we make a try.
Yeah. When you guys first show up on the scene, it's a house that you can make entry into. What's kind of the first steps you guys are taking?
Sure. So in St. Louis, we're pretty lucky with manpower. And I would say that the majority of the county departments are pretty lucky too with manpower, right? We saturate fires with manpower pretty quickly. So we have a couple different levels of fires. If you call and say your house is on fire, we'll get a still alarm in St. Louis City. So that's 3 pumpers, a hook and ladder, a rescue, and then a battalion chief. And then if I get there and I see flames, I'm going to ask for a first alarm. So then I get 2 extra pumpers, and I get an extra chief, a paramedic supervisor, and an ambulance. And then we can go up from there to 5th, 6th, 7th alarm, right? So then we have 4 people on each apparatus, except the rescue squads. The rescue squads have 6. So within the first 2 minutes of a fire in St. Louis City, we're pretty lucky. We usually have 8 to 12 dudes on the scene, just because of how close our firehouses are.
Right.
But then those riding positions in the fire truck matter, right? So like the dude who sits in the passenger seat, that's the officer. The dude who's the officer that day. Then you got the driver. Then you've got behind the officer, you have what we call the lead-off guy. So they're going to be the one that takes the hose into the house and sprays the water.
Right.
Then behind the driver, you've got what we call the plug guy. So their job, if we show up first, is to secure a water supply out of the hydrant, right? So if I'm the officer, my first job is to get an initial size up just by us driving. Are we going to make entry or not, right? Because if I'm not going to make entry, then I'm not going to pull the line that I would normally take inside of a house. I'm probably going to pull a bigger line so I can protect exposures. But if I get up there and I'm like, yeah, hey, we're going to go inside this. Now my next step is I get off the truck. I got to trust that my leadoff guy is going to be able to make this stretch appropriately, right? Like every house is different. Every lot is different. Fences, cars, whatever's in the way. Then I got to make my way around the entire building. Because, you've seen it. We've got awesome front side of the building and then the sides of the building, and then you go around the back side in the alley and it's completely gone. Well, that's not really safe for us to go into, right? Like structural stability-wise, that's not awesome. That's probably bad for us. So, I got to do a 360, and then based off of my 360, I'm going to go up to the front door and do a live fire layout, right? So we open the front door. We see what the smoke's doing, so we let it breathe for a second. While I'm doing that, my leadoff guy's making sure we got good water on the line. My driver's pumping the truck and then helping the plug guy make the plug. And then we're looking underneath that smoke layer, and that smoke layer tells us everything, right? Like the smoke's all the way down to the floor. We've got a fire below us in the basement. If it's mid-level, and we call it the neutral plane, if it's mid-level, then I'm pretty certain it's on the same floor that we're on. If I just have light smoke coming out, well, I probably have a fire on the second floor, right? Because smoke doesn't normally travel down, right? It fills up and then it will travel. All those things happen in, 45 seconds of us arriving on scene. And then the second due, so in St. Louis, we use SOGs is how we run our fires. A lot of places use command-driven fires where, as soon as the battalion chief gets there, they'll tell you what they want. We just go to work as soon as we arrive. And I think that's kind of what, I'm not saying that St. Louis is the best fire department in the world. We obviously have our flukes, but we operate pretty well because we do have a history of going to fires. We know it works for us, right? So the second due apparatus has a specific job. The third due has a specific job, all the way to the 5th due, right? So everybody knows exactly what they need to do. and it just makes it work so much easier. You know, the two departments I worked for before kind of ran that command-driven fire scene, and so you were waiting on the person who did the 360 to tell you what they needed next. Whereas here, like, there's no thought in it. Like, I arrive, I size up the building as a second due. I'm like, okay, it's an ordinary building. Let's just take regular forcible entry tools and a hook. So we get up there, we bust the door open for the first due, and then we go right behind them and we start doing a search. Whereas if it's a warehouse, we're probably getting off with a saw, right? So we can cut doors, make it a little easier, cut the locks. But we're pretty fortunate in this city. You know, within the first 7 minutes of a fire, we've got roughly 35 dudes on scene. So
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I have firsthand experience you guys working, so it's definitely you can tell that, you know, you guys got it down to a science. You know, I mostly saw like Baden House, the one on Natural Bridge, and then just a few other guys. But you know, all those, no matter which crew was showing up, it was like things were gonna get figured out pretty quick. So
yeah,
it was probably 21. I think I remember responding to a call up on North Broadway. It was like it's like I think it's a soap factory or something, but they had a
Procter & Gamble.
No, it's down from Procter & Gamble.
Like south of there?
Yeah, I think so. It might have been. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been Procter & Gamble. I don't know, but it was a big fire, and there was I don't remember what all it was, but there was burns and stuff like that. But I remember just seeing like all these fire trucks showing. Like we probably were like, I don't know, we were the third or fourth officer there, but there was already 3 fire trucks there, and they were already figuring stuff out. And it was just real neat to see, you know, on that big of a scale, you know, everyone's communicating, working stuff out, and figuring it out. So, and you could definitely tell that there didn't have to be that upper echelon there for everyone to do their job and fit in. So
it makes it work so much easier, in my opinion, coming from both sides of it, you know.
Yeah.
And we practice it multiple times a day. You know, every run you think is going to be a fire. If you go into it with, hey, it's going to be a fire when I get here, then you're not surprised, right? Like there was a dude, Andy Fredericks, he worked for FDNY, he was killed in 9/11, but he said the trash man doesn't get excited when he turns the corner and sees trash, right? So like we kind of translate that to the fire service. Like you get an automatic alarm at a house or at a high rise. Well, if you go into the mindset it's just a bullshit alarm, well, then you get there, you've got fire blowing out the 5th floor. You're like, well, holy what am I going to do? Well, if you just go with the mindset of there's going to be a fire, it's probably going to be on the top floor.
Yeah.
You get there and it's nothing. You're like, all right, well, that one was easy. Let's move on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that, you know, your guys' department and stuff like that, like it just, things like that make you have hope for, you know, future generations that grow up working in that department, because you know that you guys are going to pass the torch on to people that are going to do the same thing and hopefully, you know, have that same spirit about the job, which is important for sure, especially to keep places like St. Louis City safe. You know, it's needed. So
right. Well, it's got to start with the young guys, right? Like, I think both PD and fire have people in leadership positions who have been there since we think the dawn of time, right? Like, and they bring valuable experience and valuable knowledge, but maybe they might be stuck 10 years ago or 20 or 40 or 50 years ago. And then you've got all these young guys who are hungry, right? They want to go to fires every day. They want to go to training.
Oh, yeah.
So when you saturate an entire district with those people, man, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like the 5th district right now is saturated with people that want to do their job. And when you have people that want to do their job, when we get to the job, it's just like everybody knows what they're doing. They want to go to work. And I'm not saying that other fire departments aren't like that, but like my first job, I was there a year and a half and I went to 1 fire.
Yeah.
Like you're hungry for the fire. You want the fire. Nobody comes to work. Well, you shouldn't come to work and be like, man, I hope we don't get a fire today.
Yeah.
Like you should want to go to a fire every day. But like if you're going to 1 fire in a year and a half, how are you going to operate unless you're pulling a line every day, you're throwing a ladder every day, you're forcing the door every day, right? Like if you're not using those tangible skills, they're going to go away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Working up in the 6th and stuff, I always felt like there's just the 5th and the 6th district, and even parts of the 4th and some of the 3rd, there's just a different cop that you see, as you go further north and you see down south. And that's nothing against the guys down south, but it's just the fact that, I would chase a homicide car maybe once a week in the summers.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And you get good at that stuff. Just like with you guys, you go to multiple fires, you get good at it. And, like you said, you don't want it, but you do. You want that because that makes you better at your job, which in turn makes people safer because you're better at your job.
100%. Yeah.
So.
No, our southern districts towards the west, right? Like, they're obviously slower. It's nicer areas. They're not going to have more fires, right?
Yeah.
But like the 22s, they border Clayton and Maplewood. They're our slowest house in the city. The dudes who go to work there aren't horrible firemen. They're not pieces of shit.
Yeah.
They spent their years on busy companies, and then now they're like 25, 30 years on a job, and they're like, hey, I think I'm ready to pump the brakes for a little bit.
Relax.
If we get a fire, fucking awesome. If not, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, we have that too, and it's a different mentality of firefighting from the north side of St. Louis to the south side of St. Louis too. Like when I was at the 8s, the majority of our fires were vacant buildings. And then the majority of like the 4s fires, like down on Compton and shit, like those are all occupied structures. And then I moved from the 8s to the 28s, and now I've got a mix of both. Like at the 8s, I probably had in 4 years 10, maybe 12 occupied houses that were on fire. The rest were all vacants, right? But like something had to start that fire, so you treat it as an occupied structure.
Right.
But like it's a different mentality. Like when you go in and you search a building and it doesn't have furniture in it, it makes your search super easy in zero visibility. But then you go into a house that has furniture everywhere and you're like, hold on.
Yeah.
I got to go back real quick, right? Like it's a change. It's just like PD, right? Like the south side's different than the north side, west, east, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's just different way of doing the job, but it's the same job.
Right. Wrapping up, I always like to ask this question with any first responder that I have on the show. If you had any advice that you could give to a younger firefighter coming out, what would it be? Stay
hungry. Train every day. Your life depends on your training, right? Like when we get into a bad spot, we revert back to what we know to do.
Yeah.
And if you just know to freak out, you're going to freak out, right? Love the job, because if you give 100% to it, I promise you the brotherhood will give you 110% every time. Just be good at what you do, because the people that you raise your right hand to protect, they count on us, man. Like it's not just a bullshit saying, right? Like they truly do count on us. It's life or death. You have a bad day at work, somebody is going to die.
Yeah.
And that's the reality that we live in. It's the best job in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I get to go to work with 9 of my best friends every day. And that's just so cool. But when it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. It's a good way to end it.
For sure.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you.